There were two main strategies that I used to completely transform my body and go from looking like absolute shit to looking aesthetic as fuck. But there was one driving factor that nobody talks about that I used, which I'm going to teach you today, which is going to help you transform your body from shit to aesthetic even whilst remaining at the same weight on the scales. Everybody thinks that to start looking better, to change your composition of your body, you need to lose weight, right? And that is partly true. However, it's not just about losing body weight, it's about losing body fat. When I completely transformed from being 88 kilos and looking chubby and looking like I had no muscle to being 88 kilos where I was lean, way more aesthetic, and had more muscle. The two main changes that occurred, well, I obviously gained muscle, but I also lost body fat. And losing the body fat helped me to reveal extra definition than my muscles had that I didn't even see before because I was just chubby and bloated. And this kind of creates an illusion that you're actually bigger and then you actually hold more muscle than you really do. Because it's literally straight genetics, right? Guys naturally look better when they're leaner. And then once you pack on muscle on top of that and create the correct shape and balance between muscle and fat ratios, then you're sweet. You're going to look aesthetic. The problem comes is if you're somebody who started out skinny or somebody who started out really fat, you still need to have the right balance of muscle and fat. Some people go overboard. There's a reason why people like Chris Hemsworth and these massive like movie actors, they can put on a bit of fat and girls will still lust over them and say that they have a sexy dad bod. They don't really have a dad bod. They just have a high amount of muscle, so it acts like actual layers underneath, and then they have extra fat on top, which kind of supports and sometimes even makes their muscles look bigger. But if you have no muscle to begin with, the first step is building muscle. Then you can allocate your mindset and your training into reducing body fat and creating that balance and that perfect synergy of fat to muscle ratio. Strategy 2 is basically that exact thing. It is how to gain more muscle. Specifically, if you look at these two transformation pictures, you can see that I gained significant muscle mass in the shoulder area and the lats area or the back area. You can't even see me from the back in this picture, but you can tell that I have a wide back. And that's not only because the lats are like the massive muscle on the back that give you that V taper, but also because when I pair this with strategy number 1 of losing body fat and creating a correct ratio, then I actually made these muscles look even bigger and helped them to make my physique stand out. Why? Well, shoulders. When you have a leaner physique, when you naturally lose body fat in your area like the arms and the neck and the face and everything like this, your shoulder is able to pop more and it almost looks like it hangs over the arm, creating more of a separation between the bicep, tricep and the side delt. This basically makes it look bigger. You've probably seen those really lean sports players, like I see football players all the time and they have really lean arms. They're not even that big, but because they have lean arms, their shoulders just naturally look bigger because they're also lean as well. And then for the lats, when you have that lower body fat, typically you're going to lose fat from around your stomach visceral area, right? So when that is more snatched in and is thinner in general, then even if you only add a little bit of definition and size to your lats, you're going to see that separation more so, which creates that V taper. So instead of having a blocky waist where everything kind of just matches itself, it kind of contours and it kind of, you know, tapers up into that V taper, and it's more visible and easy to see. And that's why I often get compliments on my V taper physique. And yes, I've got pretty big lats, but it's also because my waist is pretty small. Because at the end of the day, frame and space is what gives you the illusion of being bigger and having size. If you just have those two muscle groups down, you're going to look aesthetic and bigger than you actually are. Now, the driving factor that nobody really talks about, the secret mechanism to get there, to make it easier, well, it's not just a calorie deficit like everybody is going to tell you. Guys I'm talking to specifically who probably have shit genetics and probably started from a shit position and bad lifestyle and bad habits. Well, it's boosting your testosterone, because testosterone is a fundamental hormone in the male body that speeds up the muscle building rate, but also it distributes fat in optimal ways. If you have low testosterone and a higher estrogen balance, you're more so likely going to get fat around those stomach areas and the areas that just detract from aesthetics. You're going to look more like a woman, right? If you look at how women's fat is placed, you can see it's not as aesthetic if we're trying to build a male aesthetic athletic body. And with all the poor habits around in the modern day, your testosterone is probably low. So there's 2 steps I'm going to give you to start boosting it. And the first step is to start consuming more cholesterol. You've heard it all before. But if you're trying to get lean as well, the special tip here I would give you is to consume shrimp, because it's basically 100% protein and cholesterol packed. So you can have like 30 prawns, we call them in Australia, or 30 shrimp, and it's literally like 50 grams of protein, something ridiculous, and it's only like 220 calories. Like there's 20 calories of not protein stuff in there. Like that is crazy, right? So if you're trying to get lean, you pair that with shrimp throughout the day in your meals, you're going to get lean and boost your testosterone. And the second thing which can actually help you is to start consuming more calcium, specifically cheese and milk. So what this is going to do is not so much boost your testosterone, but it's going to provide enough calcium, enough nutrients for your bone mass to actually grow. Because when you're lifting, when you're training hard, you want your bone mass to grow. And if our bones can grow, specifically our clavicles and our back, everything looks bigger and wider, well, we're going to be able to actually look better and not look so scrawny and frail. We're going to have a bigger frame, and when we build muscle on top of that and reduce fat, we can still stay at the same body weight, but we can look 10 times better. And that's exactly what I did. And if this is appealing to you and you're looking for the solution to changing your body composition forever and going from looking like shit, feeling like shit as a young guy, to actually looking good and being confident and outgoing, just like I did, I had this exact transformation myself, then check the link in the bio. It's my school community. I'm confident it can help you. And in closing, there's one final step that I'll tell you. I told you that the clavicle is important because we want that width in our physique, especially if we pair it with the shoulders and lats and a lean physique. Well, one special tip that I would give you is to, when you're first starting out lifting, if you're a young guy especially, maintain a calorie surplus, because too many guys are limiting the amount of food they eat, or they're just generally not eating enough throughout their life, throughout their early days, that it's going to stunt their growth, right? So even though I started off super skinny, I was always eating a lot of micronutrients and a lot of stuff, and that's why I attribute my 6'3" height to that, right? Because even though it's almost always genetics, why would you still not maximize the potential? Why would you still not want to try and consume as much positive micronutrients in your diet to potentially help you get a couple extra inches on your height at the end of the day? And when you pair this with the testosterone boost, you're going to see a lot of other benefits in terms of male development as well. That's it from me. Brace failure, or you risk becoming one.